locker room, please. Do you mind if I come in for a second, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you happy to talk in here? Yeah. Dr. Kwan, you might as well just stay standing for us if you don't mind, please. My name is... The time is now 06:30 hours, okay? I'm arresting you for the offence of the suspicion of the attempted murder of the Common Law and the Criminal Offence Act 1981 and administering a poison or noxious substance, contrary to Section 23 of the Offences Against the Persons Act 1861. Now, both of those offences occurred in Newcastle upon Tyne on Monday the 22nd of January 2024, okay? So you don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention one question, something which you'll later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given as evidence. So again, you're now under arrest on suspicion of those offences, okay? Do you understand that? You do.
In the serene and affluent suburb of Ingleby Barwick, Teesside, Dr. Thomas Kwan was a man who seemed to have it all. A respected general practitioner, he was regarded as a cornerstone of the community. A man who treated patients with kindness and skill. He attended local events, made house calls for his elderly patients, and was known for his calm demeanor. But beneath this veneer of professionalism lay a darker truth. What the public saw was a mask, one Kwan had perfected over years, of carefully curated appearances. Behind closed doors, he was consumed by resentment, greed, and a thirst for control. This internal darkness culminated in a crime so calculated, so chilling, that it shattered not only his family, but the very community that had trusted him implicitly. The seeds of Thomas Kwan's crime were sown over 2 decades during his mother, Jenny Lung's relationship with Patrick O'Hara. Jenny and Patrick, both widowed, found solace in each other after personal losses, eventually blending their lives into a stable and loving partnership. Patrick was a retired engineer who took pride in maintaining their home and supporting Jenny emotionally. To most, their relationship was a story of resilience and companionship, but to Thomas Kwan, it was a source of unrelenting bitterness. Kwan, an only child, had grown up idolizing his late father. When Patrick entered Jenny's life, Kwan viewed him as an unwelcome interloper. Over time, this initial discomfort festered into full-blown resentment. Despite Patrick's genuine efforts to build a relationship with Kwan, the doctor remained cold and distant. He saw Patrick not as a supportive partner to his mother, but as a man encroaching on what he believed was rightfully his. Jenny's unwavering loyalty, and more importantly, her financial assets. The tension deepened as Kwan became more involved in his mother's affairs after her retirement. Jenny's decision to sell the family home and move into a shared property with Patrick further fueled Kwan's paranoia. Though Jenny assured him that her will accounted for him fairly, Kwan grew obsessed with the idea that Patrick was manipulating her, siphoning resources that he considered part of his inheritance. By late 2023, Kwan's resentment had crystallized into a terrifying determination to remove Patrick permanently. Kwan's medical training made him uniquely equipped to conceive and execute a diabolical plan. For months, he pored over medical literature and toxicology texts, researching substances that could cause death without leaving clear traces. His goal was to orchestrate a murder that would look like an unfortunate medical mishap, a plan so seamless that no one would suspect foul play. To this end, Kwan constructed an elaborate scheme. He procured a convincing disguise, complete with a wig, a fake beard, and glasses, transforming himself into an unrecognizable figure. Using his knowledge of NHS protocols, he forged documents to simulate the identity of a community nurse conducting COVID-19 vaccinations. Every detail was carefully thought out, down to the badge he wore and the language he used to make his approach seem legitimate. Kwan also planned his movements meticulously. He altered the license plates on his car to evade surveillance and rented a hotel room under an assumed name to establish an alibi. He rehearsed the ruse multiple times, refining his timing and ensuring his tools were in order. This was not a crime of impulse, but one born of cold calculation, designed to exploit the trust society places in medical professionals. On the morning of January 14, 2024, Kwan arrived at Jenny and Patrick's home. Disguised as a nurse, he carried a small medical bag containing the syringe preloaded with a toxic substance. When Jenny answered the door, she didn't hesitate to let him in. His professional demeanor and the forged NHS paperwork eliminated any suspicion. Inside, Kwan introduced himself as part of a COVID-19 vaccination outreach program. Patrick, ever trusting, rolled up his sleeve without a second thought. Kwan administered the injection swiftly, masking any signs of nervousness. The toxin began working almost immediately, though its full effects wouldn't manifest for hours. Patrick soon complained of searing pain in his arm, a symptom far beyond the mild discomfort typically associated with vaccines. Within hours, the pain intensified, spreading rapidly and accompanied by swelling and discoloration. Alarmed, Jenny rushed him to the hospital, where doctors discovered necrotizing fasciitis, a flesh-eating infection so rare and severe that it required immediate surgery. While Patrick survived, the ordeal left him physically scarred and emotionally traumatized. The attack's unusual circumstances raised immediate red flags for law enforcement. Investigators initially focused on the possibility of contaminated vaccine doses, but discrepancies in the visit details led them to explore foul play. Neighbors reported seeing an unfamiliar vehicle with altered plates in the area, and CCTV footage captured the disguised nurse entering the home. As police delved deeper, they uncovered a trail of deception. Kwan's meticulous efforts to obscure his identity weren't flawless. A search of his property yielded the disguise, chemical substances matching the toxin administered to Patrick, and detailed notes outlining his plan. Perhaps most damning was the discovery of spyware on Jenny's computer, revealing that Kwan had been monitoring her emails and financial accounts for months. The evidence pointed overwhelmingly to Kwan. Under questioning, his calm demeanor only further unnerved detectives. While he admitted to some aspects of the plot, he refused to express remorse, framing his actions as rational within the context of his motives. Kwan's trial, which began in November 2024, captivated the nation. Prosecutors presented the case as one of premeditated, cold-blooded murder. They meticulously detailed how Kwan exploited his medical expertise to plan and execute the attack. Witnesses included toxicology experts, digital forensics specialists, and Patrick O'Hara himself, who recounted the harrowing experience in vivid detail. The defense attempted to argue that Kwan's actions were the result of emotional strain and financial pressure, but the jury saw through this narrative. The overwhelming evidence left no doubt about his intent. The judge, Mrs. Justice Lambert, said in her sentencing remarks, condemned Kwan's actions as a betrayal of trust on every conceivable level. She emphasized the calculated nature of the crime, noting that Kwan's medical profession made his actions particularly egregious. Kwan was sentenced to 31 years and 5 months in prison, ensuring he would not see freedom for decades. The emotional fallout from Kwan's crime was profound. Jenny Leung, devastated by her son's actions, struggled to reconcile the man she raised with the monster who had nearly killed the man she loved. Her heartbreak was compounded by the betrayal of trust, not just as a mother, but as a victim of Kwan's manipulations. Patrick O'Hara faced a long and grueling recovery. While the physical scars from his surgeries served as a daily reminder of the attack, the emotional wounds ran deeper. The betrayal by someone so close to his partner made it difficult to rebuild a sense of normalcy. The community of Ingleby Barwick also grappled with the shock. Patients who had trusted Kwan with their health expressed feelings of betrayal, struggling to reconcile the doctor they had known with the criminal he had become. Many described a lingering unease, knowing that someone capable of such darkness had been among them for so long. The case of Thomas Kwan is a chilling reminder of how unchecked greed and resentment can drive even the most outwardly respectable individuals to commit heinous acts. A man who had dedicated his life to healing used his skills to harm, prioritizing personal gain over the well-being of his own family. The scars left by his actions on his victims, his family, and his community will remain long after his prison sentence is served.